So today, Kevin, we're going to review the 16th episode by air date, the Galileo 7, and it's directed by Robert Gist and written by Oliver Crawford. It was aired on January 5th, 1967. And what else do we know about it? It is, production order, it's number 14.
Number 14. So what do you know about the writer and what do you know about the director? Anything at all? Any kind of trivia for us at all on either one of those?
No, don't. All I know here is the Wikipedia thing that says that Winselberg wrote the teleplay, and we've heard of him before on one of those episodes, but I don't know anything else.
Okay, so I did a little bit of work on Oliver Crawford. He was a prolific television writer. So that's about that. And I think he was also caught up in the 1950s, whatever. Remember the 50s, right? When they were doing the little witch hunt in Hollywood.
Oh, was he blacklisted?
I believe so. Let me see if he was. Yeah, he was the Hollywood blacklist during the McCarthy era. Okay, so the Galileo 7, one thing that I did think was interesting on the Galileo 7, they said it's almost wholly Spock-centric, which I believe that's true. It is an almost wholly Spock-centric episode. The whole study is really on Spock. And someone said they were surprised that it took so long to get a Spock-centric episode because he was so famous. So I don't know if he was really famous on the 17th episode of Star Trek, but
I think at this point we're beginning Spock mania, and people were clamoring for more Spock, and we got it.
Huh? We got it.
Mm-hmm.
So Oliver Crawford, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean the 17th episode. I meant the 16th episode. By golly,
we'll loop that.
So. We'll change it. So what it's all about is there's some sort of a phenomena, and the Enterprise's job in space is to search and check this phenomena, and just check things out. And so Captain Kirk wants to go and check it out, so he sends Spock out in a little shuttle craft called the Galileo 7. They run into some issues, and they crash land on a planet surface that inhabits life, and then it's Spock's takes command, and it's going through his command and how he handles it and what the people are thinking about him. Also, we have the time crunch on the ship with William Shatner with Captain Kirk, because this what was Ferris? He was a
Commissioner Ferris.
Commissioner Ferris. He was a commissioner, and he was just a pain in the butt. And I think his only job, and he probably lived to regret it, I hope, in the Star Trek conventions, was to put a poker up William Shatner's butt.
He was annoying. And he showed up on the bridge all the time. It was like, shouldn't he have a card key? And the turbo lift doesn't let him in because he's not command personnel. He can email him. He can go intercom, message him. What?
Which I think in most of the episodes for Star Trek and the Enterprise, they were pretty free-willing on who could go where and who could do what. Mostly.
I think that when they walked up to a door, and they're wearing their uniform and they had a badge on here, I'm sure it detected whether it should allow you to go into.
Anyway, so we crash lands, and then we go through this, and there's a big teddy bears on the planet that are causing havoc with the Galileo 7 and with Spock and with his command, and the doctor's there, and he's given Spock some hard time. But the one that was the most annoying to me, so there was two antagonists in the show. There was Commissioner Ferris, and there was was he a Lieutenant Ferris? What was his name? Boma. Lieutenant Boma. And I don't know what his backstory was or what it should have been, but he was relentless to Spock. And I don't know, I think there was the writer, Oliver Crawford, just kind of wanted two antagonists, which he kind of needed, I guess. Well, I guess you kind of needed two, right? One to keep pushing Captain Kirk and one to keep antagonizing the heck out of Spock. So yes, Ferris was a big pain in the butt, and I don't know how he felt about doing this part, because my goodness, he just really that was his whole. I don't think he said anything else except to antagonize Kirk on how much time they don't have, how he's opposed to what they're doing,
saying how much rank he has.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, Captain, when your time is up, I take over command. That sort of thing. It was just, the ticking clock.
Right. In fact, he's wearing his uniform his suit has a cape in the back. I mean, he's all overblown regal.
Well, I think that was kind of in the era of Elvis Presley, right? Wasn't it? Well, maybe. Elvis was pretty hot right in that moment, and he used to wear those capes. This is kind of a mini cape, and also Batman. Batman was also.
Yeah, but you don't want a cape when you're a superhero.
No. So then you got another shot of the shot that you showed us last time of the panel.
Yeah, a little comparison there.
Where is that panel at? Was that? That's not engineering, is it? What is that panel?
That is to the left of the main view screen. And we normally don't see the left side because the cameras are on that side shooting towards Uhura.
Right.
Now we're shooting away from Uhura towards the left side of the screen, and it's just not a common view. And last episode, I said to you, oh, look at the unusual view of Spock on the left-hand side. Next episode aired, boom, Kirk is on that same size, flipping a switch.
Man, didn't they have Kirk? Don't you think he was just running around that bridge a little too much? He was so in motion this whole episode.
I thought of that when Ferris was up there being annoying. He got up out of his chair, and that's what I do. I try to move and hope that someone will get the hint that I'm busy and they'll leave. So he walked over there and flipped a little switch. And then he casually, leisurely, walked along the port side, and we can see all of the 3 stations there with people in them. And we don't normally see all of those full. Usually it's just Scotty in the first one to the right of the door.
That's true. That's
turbo
true.
lift. So that's why I took a couple of pictures there of him walking from right to left past all these people.
So are you showing Captain Kirk turning on the view screen and Leonard Nimoy or Spock turning off the view screen?
No, Spock is from the previous episode.
Oh, that's right. That's from Shortly.
And
so they're both doing the same thing, only in a different episode.
Yes. And I said it was all rare and everything, and boom, there he was again.
There it is. Now, this is after they've left in the Galileo 7 to go to the surface. And I got something. Did you see, dude? You didn't capture it.
What?
My goodness. Some of our stuff goes out the door. Both of the shuttlecrafts are in the bay. Both of them are there.
No.
And they are, dude.
Well, in the new CGI version, right?
Oh, was it not in the other one?
No.
Oh, wow. So they added it. Those little conning little guys.
So did they in the new one? Do they have the turntable come up and bring them up from the?
No. They're already in the bay. They're in the bay. You see the whole shot of the bay, and off to the right as the Galileo 7's leaving. That you see the what was the other one? Not Einstein. It was
Columbus.
The Columbus off to the left. I think it's cool. I think it's great that way. Yeah. So now we have Phyllis Douglas or Yeoman Mears, who is kind of a cutie. I mean, she's the eye candy for this episode.
She tries to communicate and later on says ionic interference. She's the one using the communicator to try to. So
she's her thing on the shuttlecraft communication
and someone who's recording, taking logs. So, like you're probably looking at the 3.7, the green line fluctuating on the console.
Yeah.
And this is what I thought was interesting about the stuff in the shuttlecraft. So they're in the shuttlecraft.
Yeah.
Those 2 pictures, the shuttlecraft, and Spock asks the navigator, the guy to his right, what the reading is, and he says 3.7. So I took a picture of the lowest point of the wavering green line, and a picture of it where it went to exactly the maximum by frame.
Yeah.
And it actually looks like the green line at the top is 3.7 away from the zero line. But I think it's accidental. I just can't. He says,
"Oh wow, that's pretty cool." I mean, if they did it on purpose, that's kind of neat.
Yes, kinda. Who would notice? Okay, but this is what I have a problem with this.
That's why we have the Bruces of the world, is to notice this kind of thing.
What I don't like about this is he asks the guy says 3.7. Then the guy says to Spock, "Sir, and he couldn't even finish his line. He couldn't say, "Sir, and then Spock says, "Well, what is it? What's it going to be? Make up your mind." That's what he says. Make up your mind. What do you mean make up? I haven't even said 3.6 yet. Or he was going to say that it's fluctuating. He did, didn't he? But what was he going to say? "Sir, I have to go to the bathroom." "Sir, and then Spock cuts him off and says, "Well, make up your mind." I'm wondering if there was more stuff that was filmed and it was cut that would have explained that little interaction more.
Well, that could have been. That would have been nice if they would have shown it, because what I get through this whole episode is they tried to make Spock seem very pushy and authoritarian. And the whole lines that Spock has are just like incredibly kind of rude in a way. A lot of them are. I mean, he puts down Earthlings in this episode and everything else. I mean, he's just not a very nice guy.
He's logical, and this is how he thinks command should be, right?
Let's take a moment to talk about what's in the shuttlecraft, because there's so many fascinating things in the shuttlecraft that you and I touched on the same things on. And one thing I like about the shuttlecraft is it's very minimalistic. One thing that I couldn't understand there's two things about the shuttlecraft that just cracked me up. One is when it crashes, they have twisted pair hanging everywhere. And honestly, I don't even see that in the 60s, that they would have this twisted pair just hanging everywhere. Like, where did this come from? I mean, it was a little bit too much. Someone said, just throw that there.
And what about where they landed? From some of the shots, you could say, "Oh, there's rocks behind it, rocks in front of it."
I know, right?
This little VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing thing. Yeah. He landed it straight down.
I know. Yeah, I don't know how they pulled that off either, but that was, you're right. It's surrounded by rocks, and they're just right in there. I was looking at the disruptive, when they said disruptive quasar, that just really made me laugh out loud. Really? It's like a disruptive little quasar. It's just like, instead of just being a quasar, it's a disruptive quasar. So the descriptor on the quasar just made me kind of laugh. It's like, we wouldn't have been in this predicament if it wasn't for that disruptive quasar.
Yep.
And then when he goes, "We are out of control," and I just put a note. Yeah, I feel that way sometimes.
Well, like a projectile.
Oh, and then Talos II. I was like wondering how they could see the planet and how the Enterprise could see the planet, because they were saying they couldn't identify anything through the quasar, right? But then Uhura was able to identify Talos II, and the shuttlecraft was able to identify Talos II. So I hope you have a good explanation for me on how they could get that info when there was so much
interference.
Yeah, interference.
Yeah, I don't understand the episode myself as far as where they are, distances, this cloud. What is the deal? The Murasaki effect. Is this planet in the middle of the Murasaki effect? Is the Enterprise only outside looking at the moon? Did it ever fly close enough? Is it, when it is doing its surveying, is it in orbit? I assume. I kind of got lost about where did they have their distances right? Were they portraying it in the picture correctly in the show with the Enterprise flying towards it? Did the Enterprise stop and the shuttlecraft went all that distance to the Murasaki effect and then go off course? It's one of those things that I just have never paid attention to in the story and just let it by. Yeah, something, there's a planet and they get lost. I don't have an answer.
My question again, and I already asked it, it's already been answered, but I'm going to do it again, is just, I don't know how they got to Taurus II. The Taurus II, I don't know how they both found that under all the frantic stuff that's going on and the storm and all that, and they were still able to identify and get to the
by accident, right?
By accident. But they sent out the other shuttle craft, and they know where to go. The Columbus. I don't know why. Let me write the Columbus here real quick. So you were probably in heaven when you saw not only the Galileo 7. I know you were a little crushed when you found out it was like destroyed, but you said, well, we got another one sitting there.
We got a second one we didn't even know about. Didn't know that there were two on the Enterprise. Let's
talk about Spock's command, because I think there's so much there. I just think that, what's his name?
Boma.
I really think that Oliver Crawford went a little too far. I know you only have, what, was it 46 minutes? How many minutes?
48.
So you have to push it, and it is a TV episode, but I think it was pretty heavy-handed. I honestly didn't get from previous episodes that Spock would be that, and I know you're saying logical, but although he wasn't completely logical, he got mad at him. When he separates himself from Earthmen, that's what he said. How you Earthmen could be, he says that somewhere. And I don't know why Boma just didn't let off on Spock, or someone didn't say, hey, you need to back off. Even Dr. McCoy kind of pushed him into, well, he doesn't have a heart. He's got a brain, he doesn't have a heart.
Spock says, I'm frequently appalled by the low regard you Earthmen have for life.
Right, which means that Spock holds life in high regard, right? So that is not just a logical thing. I think that's an emotional thing as well, right? If you hold something in high regard, how can that just be a logical thought?
Wait a minute. He's following rules. He knows that there's regulations, the Prime Directive, our duty to alien life forms.
Have we gotten to the Prime Directive yet? Was that already part of the Enterprise at that time? I know it was brought in later, but I guess you could say they still go by the Prime Directive at that moment.
They don't mention it, right? I bet you we get it in another episode. What does Spock say?
Let's go with what you said, though, because I think you hit on something really good. Because the Vulcans worked really hard because they were destroying themselves, right? The history of the Vulcans. So they worked really hard on being logical, which would mean that the thrust and the growth of the Vulcan would be that they would hold life in higher regard, which makes sense. It may not be a logical thought, but definitely it's the history of the Vulcans.
Yes. Spock says, the components must be weighed, our dangers to ourselves as well as our duties to other life forms, friendly or not.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I wanted to say, because Spock, maybe it's a better episode than I thought in examining Spock, because I did say he gets angry when explaining. He's getting tired of these guys. I mean, Spock's getting kind of upset, and he gets really upset just after. I wish I would have wrote what he said, but and got a screen capture of it. But you could tell he's just frustrated and angry at these guys for, like, they're all kind of ganging up against Spock, particularly in the shuttle, and as he's trying to do his stuff, and honestly, to get him off that planet is the best thing to be worried about. Not about burying people, not about fighting these things, or just getting the hell out of there. I think Spock did the right thing. I was kind of disappointed in that the men on the shuttlecraft just kept arguing with him. Like, I don't know how he couldn't get them in that collective mindset. Like, do you really want to stay here? I mean, this is really not the best environment nor place for us to stay. Our goal is to get back off this planet, right?
Right. And they're thinking about, you're going to make a decision on who's going to be left behind. No, I'm trying to give us the best chance possible. So Stop with all the
What do you think? I mean, what do you think? Do you think I'm going a little too far with this, or do you?
As far as the other people, I think Boma's character is great, or the actor is great as he. I'm sick and tired of this machine. I thought that's great stuff for that actor. I thought that was great. We learn a lot about Spock. We get to watch how he's dealing with his command and dealing with these humans. In real life, would these guys have been talking to him this way about this other unnecessary thing? They all know they got to get off the damn planet. There is an issue here that the Enterprise has to leave. They need to make themselves visible. And here we are talking about bury. Well, I would have, what does Boma say? A decent burial?
Yeah. He's still a human or something like that. I forget it exactly.
Mr. Spock, I would insist upon a decent burial even if your body was back there. Mr. Boma. Yeah, I don't know what Boma, but Boma doesn't let off of Spock the whole episode. He is on Spock the entire episode. And I'm like, this is anger brought to him before they went on this. There's no way that someone would get that angry with someone in that short a span, right? Especially in those situations. A situation like that tends to bring people together, I think. But Boma had his hair up his butt about Spock way before that. There was something that got on his nerves about Spock way before they went on that. I think they're trying to show how Spock's religious execution of logic is not exactly always the answer, and they needed someone to point out the human quality, the human way of going about some stuff. I think Spock did the right thing.
I think he did the right thing too.
They're all going off on stuff, and he needs to keep him on task.
Spock goes, let's get out of here. Scotty needs his room to work, right? And I'm like, how much room does Scotty need? I mean, there's tons of room in that shuttlecraft. I just didn't see that they all needed to get out.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What is with the aft cabin and the aft cabin that they're supposed to look in that's after the aft cabin and the back door, the aft door? We had 4 people, 2 people come in from the back and 2 more later on. Where is this place?
I know.
While they're in the aft cabin, Spock says, without looking towards the camera where there could be another door, well, go check the aft cabin for if there's something else we can throw away. So you're going to go out the door, around the back, and look from the back side and go into some aft cabin. Where's these doors?
Yeah. Well, I didn't get when she's telling him, she's saying, well, we could get rid of another 100 pounds. He's going, well, we still need to get rid of 230 pounds or whatever he was saying, right?
Yeah.
That logically, I would think that doesn't make a lot of sense. You should start with that 100 pounds and say, okay, well, that's half of what we need. Let's go figure it out. But yes, you're right. I was baffled by that too. And I didn't even think about it until you said it when they come in that door on the side. And I'm like, where is this? You know, because it seems like the shuttlecraft would be doors all externally, right? Externally facing. And there's that one where you're saying, I guess you call it the app, but I thought it was on the side. But
no. So we got 2 rows of chairs.
Yes.
In the back, there's a door.
Yeah.
And it opens up to where the cover is for the sparks. And the fuel tanks you can see when the camera goes from the front cockpit towards the back, and the doors are open in the back. You can see the fuel tanks. Okay.
Isn't that
people that come around the corner? And
isn't that where she got that extra 100 pounds from, though?
Yes. Yeah. So, but they come around the corner, and the 2 people come in there, and then they leave from there. They go through those open doors, and they go around the corner. Where are they going to? There's no.
I know.
And I think everybody knows this.
Yeah.
And from the outside, there's no. But I had to say it.
No, I'm glad you did, because it threw my brain off a little bit when the guys on the planet, those big teddy bears or whatever they are. What do you call those things?
Or was it the guy that came back into Columbus? He said what the creatures. Did he use the word creatures? Can't remember.
I think so. I think he did something like that.
Creatures.
Okay, so your creatures. So my question is this: don't they seem like a warlike tribe, they're a warring culture, right? They got big spears. They've got big, massive shields. Doesn't that seem like a warring kind of crowd to you? Doesn't it seem like that?
Well, Spock suggested a loose collection. They probably hang around together in order to combine forces. And you say warring? No, they probably fight for food. They probably need those spears to kill the dragons that are even larger than them. Okay,
so you're saying, well, that would make a lot more sense, because I was like...
They're hunters.
How do I... They're not. I would love if you would have written how many spears you saw and how many shields you saw in that. Yeah. The only hit that they got was the first one that you have here, and I forget this actor's name, Lieutenant whatever.
At the stunt when they hit him and he falls down.
That's the only hit that they got. They've thrown 100. They're like the matchsticks on Rain Man. They fall all over the floor. 634, and they hit one guy. And I'm like, what are they? And they're throwing them like they're just like, I don't even know how they're tossing them up in the air. They should have had somehow, if they could have protected the actors and done more of an accurate, like it just misses them, that would have been cool. But they're just like, it looks like someone's just throwing them up in the air and they're dropping to the ground, right? They go, okay, action, and they're just the gaffs or the grips are just throwing them up. So,
was it Latimer?
I don't know what his name is. Let's see here.
So when they hit him in the back, the stunt man gets it in the back, and there's 3 different actions there, 3 different views of that same fall. Look at that one at 15 minutes and 15 seconds where the guy is in free fall coming down.
Yeah.
That was great. You don't see it in the episode at all. I mean, it's like, boom.
Yeah. No, you caught that pretty well. So there's your landing struts. I see.
Yes. It looks like for real. I don't have the bottom portion there.
There's your special effects.
Oh yeah. What is with that? It's kind of like a Star Wars wipe. The camera went down and then the stuff went up, and later on they have a nice fog. But this thing with the blue watery looking thing, it just, to me, it always takes me out of the scene.
Yeah, with it's Lieutenant Gaetano, right?
Oh yeah, Gaetano.
So I was like wondering. I mean, his acting wasn't very good when he's trying to get out of there. I mean, I would have been climbing up that wall. I would have been falling down. He's just kind of standing there. I mean, and those things are moving so slow. They're like, oh, he could have ran around. He could have done a basketball move and been gone. He could have been back to the shuttlecraft before that thing reached down to try and grab him.
Later on, I have that scene captured, and I timed it because I looked at it, and what I don't like is he's going forward, leans over, and he holds that pose, and instead of them cutting away or him doing something else like grabbing, he pauses there for several frames, and when you watch it in real time, it's like, what are you doing? He just
right. But I think that's where they cut for commercial, right? That was a commercial cut, I think.
Sure, they probably told him, go down and then freeze. But when they edited, they left too much in.
Yeah.
Are you looking at 2815? I don't like that. The camera is on the guy on the wall.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes into view, but it's not that he comes into view. The camera shifts position and they just splice it in there, and all of a sudden there's a jump to the left, a sharp cut, and you watch it. And
you're right, because you got the picture there and the rock's gone.
Yes.
There's a big rock. There's a big rock. Yeah, it's a jump cut. Yeah, you're right.
With him coming right in there, it's wrong. Could I do better? Yes. No.
Yeah. No, you could have. You could have.
In the shuttlecraft, when it landed, McCoy, head's hurt. The other guy, Boma, he has a bloody nose because nobody has seat belts or airbags or anything. And the guy across in the row in the back on the other side, McCoy gets up and he says right away to him first, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But his left arm or wrist is hurt and he's grabbing it. Here, he gets hit with the spear or the rock that was thrown at him from the right side. Now he has two arms that don't work.
Maybe that's why I can't climb the wall. You know, he's up against the wall. It's like this guy is just not athletic at all. He's one of those guys in gym class in high school when they say climb the rope and he goes, my mom told me to go home right now. My mom. I mean, he could have done a basketball move. You could have totally. I would have had fun with those creatures, just running around them and doing this to them, you know.
Yeah, right. You just got shot like a projectile through the Murasaki effect. You landed on this planet in a crater between rocks. You got a bloody nose or a broken wrist, and you're gonna be dancing around there going. And I was watching Laserdisc, but I also reviewed the DVD, and they had some comments in there, some extras, and it said that Lieutenant Boma was portrayed by Don Marshall, and what they did was in this episode they gave the impression that the aliens were oversized. They weren't. They're just 6 foot plus guys, and then they made these huge shields, or they showed it in a forced perspective or something where the shield is really close to the camera, whatever, to distort it, and the big old spears. Okay, but what happened is later on, Don Marshall, who plays Boma, he played on Land of the Giants. So he's on this planet with giants. He goes to Land of the Giants. The Shuttle Craft, it said in that DVD, by the way, this is a toy, was built by the workers at AMT Corporation and was supervised by automotive designer George Winfield, who would later help construct the full-sized vehicles used in Blade Runner. AMT built the Shuttle Craft in exchange for the rights to build the model kit. And AMT built both sets, the exterior and the interior wild sections that came all apart for filming.
Don't you have something to show us now?
No, we have to find that before we splice it in.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do.
It's totally black. You're gonna have to. There you go.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
There's the AMT logo, maybe in the lower right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Special edition. Yeah.
Right, and this is for the Galileo 2, as in this model is the replacement for the Galileo 1 that died and that.
But don't they say it's Galileo 7? So what does 7 mean?
Did we count the lights at the back? Aren't there 7 engine ports?
So that's the Galileo 7 Mark II.
Oh, what if there's 1 through 7 of these things, and this is the 7th one?
No, that's the second one you said. That's number 2.
This Galileo 7 NCC 1701/7 has a name on the front under the windows, and it says Galileo 2. This is the 7 that replaces the 7 that was lost in this episode.
Okay, so then you got them scuffering around the craft, and I think, I want to talk about the toys. I mean, couldn't they have really gotten Scotty some better props? I mean, he's looking through these little toys and he keeps on playing with that stupid phaser. Why? I mean, he's seen a million phasers. Why does he keep with that stupid? What is that?
Shouldn't he be putting that down in the hole and either hooking it up to something to discharge it, or if this tool lets him align where he's supposed to hold it to discharge, then he picks it up and uses it as a magnifying glass. Totally wrong.
And it looks totally like a toy, whatever. I don't even know what that is. Those props, I don't think the prop department made those. Do you? I think they just went somewhere and picked them up.
Tape recorder covered it.
Yeah. I love that. That was so cool. I thought that was great.
Yeah. The observation deck we saw in a previous episode called Conscience of the King, we get to see it from the hangar bay in the reverse direction. There's these little outposts, these little things that are looking at the bay itself, but then we can see a observation deck on either side. And why do I have some shots of the shuttlecraft leaving the hangar bay? Because those shots cost a fortune. Every time I read stuff about this show, they're all complaining about how expensive the special effects are and how expensive, like, for instance, the shuttlecraft shots are. We take this all for granted. We just whip this up in some CGI, and there they had models and they had to film this stuff.
Yeah.
Finding a needle in a haystack would be child's play. as the scene fades out. When he says that, I think it's really good the way Shatner does that. He the scene fades out for commercial, and he is just what's the word? Not dejected. He's at a loss for what he's supposed to do, because he's saying about the needle in a haystack, and he drops his head, and the scene fades out. And I watched that pretty closely, and I thought that was really good on Shatner's part, and it really looked like he is stressed. Right? I mean, these are his friends, as he said. He also put the word friends first. I thought that was interesting. These are my friends and my crew. Enterprise. This time around, I took some shots of what the Enterprise looks like when you're looking at the intro. You know how the intro, the ship goes by and the music goes whoosh and swoosh. There's several swooshes. Right there, you can see the smaller version of the Enterprise. I'm sure the 11-inch version that's just whooshing by, swoosh 1 and swoosh 2. Very important for this episode. No.
Are these stock shots, or were these shot for this episode, do you think?
Those ones, the swoosh 1, swoosh 2, that's just every episode. I just went into the intro and picked them out so you could finally see what they look like.
Okay.
Not the 11-foot model, but the small model that I read somewhere that they said it disappeared off of Gene Roddenberry's desk.
Most things kind of disappeared. It sounded like they were having to recreate and redo what they had. Uhura didn't have many lines in this thing, did she?
No, she smiled a little bit at the end. 546. Does that look like a stock shot from other episodes?
It kind of does, doesn't it?
They just popped that into the view screen and then said, well, there's Lieutenant Hadley. We won't even show his head. That could be just as well the guy from Styles or from Corbomite Maneuver on that side. We can't see his hair, and we can see more of Chekhov. He's a regular.
I wonder how many times they do that even now. You don't really notice it that much, but they didn't have to go do a pickup shot on that one. They just did like a stock shot and threw that in there.
Yeah, I think
actually Star Trek they did that a lot though.
They use and they use this shot a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, how about coffee on the bridge? Let's talk about that.
Right?
Charlie X and Zap, I had coffee. Wink of an eye. She puts the stuff in there. It slows everybody down. What I don't like is that they're always empty.
Yeah, although in one episode I see where Captain Kirk, he does a pretty good job of acting like he's really sipping on something.
Yes, but here there's a shot of Ferris holding it, and you can see from a distance. Oh, wait, he just handed it to you. Do you only get a quarter cup? And it feels light, and it's hard to act. Put some weight in there.
Yeah.
Look at 6 minutes 37 seconds. Uhura comes over and says that they found type AM. That's what she says. type AM. Type AM.
Type M.
I think that's the first time I see Lieutenant. Is that his name, Hadley? And he's in practically every episode. Yeah.
He was now Hadley. Wasn't he the one that played some monsters or something too? Was he the one that was utilitarian?
Yes, he was in the bunny rabbit suit. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. The shot of the shuttlecraft, love it. We get to see it in metamorphosis again. Look at the sparks at 7 minutes and 6 seconds. What, they don't have any fuses ever?
Never. And those sparks, whatever they use for those pyrotechnics, they use them a lot in Star Trek. A lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So they go create some pyrotechnics that have a lot of, okay, boss.
Okay, how about 8 minutes and 36 seconds? McCoy lists off the atmosphere content. And the first thing I'm thinking of is Galaxy Quest. What about the air? Didn't you test it first? And Tech Sergeant Jen goes, seems okay. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going, here is a realistic, obviously the Galaxy Quest is playing off of this.
Yeah.
He's checking this is an episode here where he checks What's outside first with his tricorder? He makes some flippant comment about you don't want to do a marathon or something like that. And Spock says, come on, only the facts, right? But even though he said only the facts, in another scene right after this, McCoy adds that, oh, by the way, there's some little traces of argon and krypton. And he embellishes the comment again. He's like he's pushing Spock's button a second time.
Yeah, they were all pushing Spock's button. But look at Spock. How many shots do we have with him with his hands on his hips? I mean, there's so many. When the guy's dead and he's laying on the rock where they put him out to fillet him on that rock, he puts his hands and he stands there examining him with his hands on his hips.
Yeah. No pockets in the pants to put his. Gotta go on the hip. The doors. Did you notice how the doors on the outside? If you're looking on the outside, they get sucked in and then they move to the side.
Yeah.
Now on the inside, when you see it, they just go into the pockets, right? So there might be two sets of doors, kind of a elevator style, right? On the outside, they move in, and the ones on the inside are already, and they both then move into the pocket. Don't know. Not in real life. I mean, what they're trying to depict.
Right.
Okay. And it's kind of cool the way the doors work on the top, because then the bottom part of the door opens up to be the ramp that they walk out on. It folds down and then lands on the nacelle. I wrote a comment in 1991. It says the shuttlecraft Columbus has the same number, NCC 1701/7 on the back, but I wasn't following the episode enough to know if they were implying what we were looking at was the Columbus that was sent to the planet to do some investigation. Did we even see that? If any minor damage was overlooked, it was when they put his head together. And then McCoy says, not his head, Mr. Boma, his heart. And then he pauses for a moment and he says, his heart. But the second time he says it, it sounds like he's going to start another sentence. Just takes me out. It's not as if he was sighing again and saying, not his head, his heart. His heart. And then they cut it off. What were you going to say? But he doesn't. It's the end of the sentence and it bothers me. Oh,
it is McCoy.
In 1960, you can see that McCoy is handing the heavy thing to Gaetano. And here comes Mears with another bit of, and they both come from the right around the corner.
Exactly. And it looks like really that's just a box of stored papers.
Didn't we talk about paper before? There's so much paper. That looks
it looks like one of those banker boxes.
Exactly. Yes, it does.
There's your door closed and your door open again. Oh, there's your ramp. Cool. Okay. So
and then the ramp goes down.
I don't know how you see that, but okay.
It's three doors. Two go aside and one goes down. And so at 1937, the ramp fell down. All right. And then what do we got at 20? We got these gauges. Looks so modern. They lose pressure.
That actually looks like one that you'll just find on any tank, like one of those pressurized canisters, right? Okay, what are you're getting into where they're fighting the beasties, the creatures?
At 21 minutes, there's the aft view of those tanks. And then they start with the fighting, yes. They go outside, and what do?
They climb around and fire their phasers.
Shoot to frighten.
Yeah. So what is powering the phasers? Because if McCoy's going to empty the phasers to power up the shuttlecraft, what is the phaser being charged by? I have no idea.
Well, it's a heck of a battery in there. No, I don't know. A little nuclear reactor.
They're always going, we're going to deplete the power of the phaser, and I'm like, what? I thought they were using some sort of something else, some sort of other energy source that would just keep that thing running for a very long time, right? I mean, on your phaser, sure it's AAA batteries, but on these phasers, I really thought like a little nuclear reaction or some sort of reaction going on in that thing that allows a phaser to run for a long time. But
yes, and they do, don't they?
No, because we're always talking about depleting. We need it because we're going to deplete the phasers, right? We only have enough power from the phasers to power the shuttlecraft for this long. So the phasers give out a finite amount of energy.
Yes. Seems totally reasonable to me that the shuttle needs lots of energy to do stuff, and you should be amazed that 7 or however many were that they had could actually make this thing lift off.
Yeah. So now you're showing the creature beating the heck out of the shuttlecraft with the rock, which to me, I don't know how he got it to rock like he did on the inside, because on the outside, it's just like someone taking a right. Yeah, exactly. The shuttlecraft should really be able to absorb that kind of impact, but apparently not.
How long can the ship take that punishment? Well,
all right. So then you're shocking the hull of the shuttlecraft.
Yes.
And ionic interference, you still have your interference going on. And then you're just talking about how you wouldn't go outside to check and see what's going on out there.
I would not go outside. Go check the aft compartment.
Even as low as those things were, with that many around the shuttlecraft, you wouldn't have much of a chance. One of them would get a hold of you. Even with as slow as those creatures were at moving,
yeah,
even if you did your basketball moves, you still wouldn't have much of a chance because they would probably have blocked you in. So you're right. You just wouldn't go out.
Spock says, meanwhile, please check the aft compartment. See if there's anything else you can unload to lighten the ship. Mr. Gaetano's body is back there. It will, of course, have to be left behind.
Yes, but it wasn't really. And so we have the Enterprise taking off. It's the last spot. Captain Kirk's going to see of Spock and Scotty and McCoy, but he wants them to go really slow. He's looking in the back window, and they get the shuttlecraft off because they filled it up with the phaser juice. And then Spock does something. What does he do? He does something as a desperate attempt to have the Enterprise see him.
He jettisons the fuel and ignites it.
Exactly. And so there's a mixed emotion in the cabin of the shuttlecraft on why he did it, although Scotty kind of figures it out right away. It's like, oh, that's brilliant. But, You're
not happy with that?
No, I'm not. I'm not judging it at all. There's no judgment on that. I was just kind of saying what's going on.
Yeah.
And then to wrap it up in the Enterprise, when they capture these guys, and you guys are going to have to watch it. We're not going to give you all the answers on what happens, but you can be assured the crew was saved that were left alive on that shuttlecraft. And then they get back on the Enterprise, and McCoy and Captain Kirk are going a little bit at Spock. He must love that little jabs at him, because he takes a lot of them. And so they're analyzing his action.
And he says, well, essentially, those are the facts.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the way it's phrased.
But it's an act of desperation arrived at logically. So they wrapped it all up. I do like that they wrapped it up that way, right? They put logic and desperation all together, and you got kind of...
And not the 7th shuttlecraft assigned to the Enterprise. Is it 7 seats?
I guess. I don't really know.
How many people died?
2 people.
Okay, 5 came back.
Right.
When they say 5 come back, Kirk says, okay, turn around, space normal speed, let's get out of here. Doesn't he want to consult those guys and say, did you leave anybody behind? Is there someone injured? Why is there only 5? Do we need to go down there real quick? He just says, let's go. We had something similar with that 5 and, oh, by the way, the other 2. In the man trap, Spock is on the bridge and Uhura is talking, and Uhura says, I don't believe it. Explain. You explain. That means that somebody is dead and you just sit there. It could be
Spock, right? She's talking to Spock, not to Kirk. Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
we have a similar situation there. Nobody bothers to to check.
McCoy should have never let Boma get off with he doesn't have a heart. He should have never let him get away with that, that's insubordination. And if they would be talking about respect the chain of command and right now Spock's in command, everyone had to fall in line. And in this whole episode, nobody did that. Nobody, and probably if you look at it a little deeper, because even when he gets back to the bridge and Captain Kirk is poking fun at him, and so is McCoy. So it's kind of a cultural thing. It's already a cultural thing that's part of the Enterprise thing.
Make fun of Spock?
Yeah, kind of, right? I mean,
the
it's
outsider?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there. I mean, even when you look at him playing chess, are you annoyed there, Mr. Spock? I mean, they just jab the heck out of him constantly. So this makes sense in that context, I think, that they wouldn't really. Although I have to say with Boma again, Boma had a hair about Spock way before this project or whatever you call it, this little thing that they did, this little exploration. I think it just seemed like way too much for one little, you're on the shuttle. I mean, how long were they on the shuttlecraft? So let's say they're on the shuttlecraft for 3 hours, maybe. I mean, going to this thing, or maybe less. It seemed like it was a lot less than 3 hours, right? So, I know people can annoy me on a trip in a car in about an hour and a half, right? You just, well, maybe a little bit longer, but it seemed like you're on a long trip. You're really annoyed with each other, and Spock was on his last nerve. And I'm like, how did he get there so quick?
I don't want to use that as an excuse, because he's not a first officer on the ship if he doesn't know how to talk to his subordinates and say, get with the program. He does it in the episode with the Obsession when the guy is sulking in his room and that he didn't fire his phaser, and Spock says, knock it off. He knows how to talk to his subordinates, so why did he not know how to talk to these guys?
Right.
Take command, take charge.
Right. I don't know. I think it would have been a whole different episode, of course, if he would have just said, hey, this is what we're doing. They could have still been pissed off at him. I mean, God knows, when I was told to go paint a bulkhead, I was kind of angry. I mean, I was a technician, for God's sakes. I'm not here to paint bulkheads. But honestly, they say go paint a bulkhead, and that's what you got to do. You got to just go paint a bulkhead, right? So that's where I come from on this. So all that said, I'm going to go ahead and rate this, because I'm going to rate it around. I was going to give it between a 60 and a 65. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'll go ahead and give it a 65. I like some of what you brought to it. I mean, you did make me kind of understand some stuff, but honestly, I mean, I think the guy could have got away from the creatures if he would have just wasn't so out of shape. I don't like the way they threw their spears in the episode. I mean, they only had one hit. I mean, these guys are miserable. They're like the shield. They can't even hit Spock with the shield, and this thing's massive. I mean, it's like if you're throwing a car at somebody and you're that strong to be able to do it, you should be able to kind of get them, right? It's massive.
I picked on a lot of little things about the show unnecessarily. Yeah. I mean, I understand they're under constraints and they got to crank this thing out. So I gave the episode a really hard time about all these little things, but only so that I could comment on the obvious stuff, right? I like the way Boma's character is. I like the way an actor does that, specifically the I'm tired of this machine. I like Spock. We're introduced to Spock's logicalness in this episode. We get a ton of Spock, not history, not like a muck time, his race, but about him. And he just thinks about stuff logically. And obviously you got the first officer position because he's good at what he does, his scientific duties. Now here he has to do command. He says he's not afraid, and he thinks about things logically. I like it. I like a lot of Spock stuff. And we had a shuttlecraft for me to look at. I have no door fetish. No. When one door closes, another door opens. Don't they say that? Isn't that how it works?
I'm definitely going to highlight in these episodes the door closed and door open. I'm definitely going to highlight. And I'm going to put it just like you put it. There's a door closed and you got door closed. There's a door open and you got door open. It just cracks me up. And then you did it again. You did it twice. So.
I did it. Right. The second time was for not the interior door to the aft compartment, but the inside view of the outside door on the front of the ship. When it slides over, that's when I did it again. Door.
Yeah, we're going to cut out your explanation for the audience, and I'm just going to put it in there.
Door open. Door
so what do you think? What's your rating on this episode?
I like the episode, but you know how I'm very confused about the distances traveled or where the cloud is, and I've never paid attention to that part of the story, and I should be. Yeah. That part I don't like that I'm confused about this. This episode gets lower because of that confusion. I like the shuttlecraft. I like Spock and I like Boma. I'm going to give this one, I like it bigger than Dagger of the Mind. I'm going to give it a 75 also.
I think really our next week, as much as I like the Squire of Gothos, I really do. I think we should do Galaxy Quest and put it in so as we're referring to... No, really, I do. I think as we're referring to it, people will kind of know what... Because I think we're going to start referring to it more as we go along, right?
Because they are referring to our series. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're
exactly.
Spoofing, and they're referring in this particular episode, what they talked about the air thing. This is the first time McCoy actually checking the air before they go outside. It makes sense.
I did watch another guy because I wanted to get another perspective on the Galileo 7, and he was the one that actually said it was Spock-centric, and he really liked that. But then, like I said, I read where people are saying it's Spock-centric, and why did it take them so long? I didn't realize, I mean, we're only 16 episodes in, I didn't realize Spock must have been, that would have been why they went in to see Roddenberry and said, who's the star of the show? I wonder if it was after this episode.
And Kirk's going, or Shatner is going, why all the Spock stuff?
Yeah. Who's a star? And then he's going, well,
yeah.
Shatner, of course you are.
Of course you are. We're paying you the big bucks. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. And then go down to 50, go to 51 and 0 minutes and 51 seconds. Kirk in the chair.
Oh, yeah.
6 seconds. Kirk out of the chair.
I know.
I hope you're putting
these in. I mean,
Kirk in the chair, Kirk out of the chair.
Kirk out of the chair.
Well, because he gets irritated with the guy and starts walking towards the screen, and Kirk's doing it just because he needs to act like he's doing something to get rid of this guy.
I want to give you a heads up, okay?
So
I think you have a lot more to offer. I don't really see anyone pulling out antennas, anyone pulling out a shuttle, a phaser. I don't even know what you. I think you're going to show us your memory block at some point, right?
Memory block?
Yeah. Didn't you say you bought a memory card, a memory chip?
Oh no, I did not win that auction.
Well, we're going to sign off. All right, man. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you next week.
Live long and prosper.
You too. Bye-bye.
Through your description. I forgot what you were saying.
That's why you have the new uniforms later on, is because all the uniforms are clear.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's like you don't want no drinks on the bridge. Remember how you wouldn't let me drink with the computer? You put these little sippy cups for me. Same thing.
Uhura.
If you're gonna drink, use a sippy cup. No, I'm just kidding.
I say everybody should have a sippy cup, right?
Yeah.
Computer equipment. Come on, we're all pyromaniacs at heart. They get to, those guys are adults on this show, and they got to burn stuff up all the time.
That's why special effects cost so much, because they keep playing with them with their friends. Hey, you want to see that again? And then by the time they get to how many you got? Oh man, we got one shot at this dude.
Oh my God.
And so that brings us up to some of your stuff, some of your interesting observations and stuff. I'm not sure. I love that you put door closed and door open. Now what? You know, I had. I'm sorry, but what? I haven't been smoking pot or drinking or anything. What prompted you to? Because I have kind of learned over the years that a door is closed and a door is open. But can you please explain that to our audience? Your observation on a door closed and a door open.
Explain to you, you mean?
I understand. I just want to know what your observation was on that.
So, not that I have a fascination with doors, but I did document every time the doors open and close in my database, down to the 30th of a second. No, he's the Ferris guy.
Yeah.
He has to project something, and so there he is standing smack dab middle in the turbo lift.
Yeah.
And then I get another screen capture of him coming straight out and on the bridge and puffing his chest in the center. Well, that was a nice clean shot of those the door before and after. I just put some comments in there. Well, guess what? That's exactly right before the door opens, and the other one door open is him standing in the turbo lift. Right. So if we were looking at this in some sort of textual information, we'd know what picture it's referring to. Right now, you looking next to the text next to the picture, you're going, that's stupid. But if you were just looking at a list of pictures and you didn't see the pictures, you'd know.
Oh, I see. You were just explaining the picture. You weren't explaining to me that the door's closed and explaining to me. I get it now. I get it. Okay.
A caption.
Okay.
When I didn't have a comment that explained the picture, I had a caption. Didn't want to leave it blank for you. What if you were using a screen reader and you couldn't see the pictures and you wanted...
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So you were just being thoughtful.
Yep, that's a picture of the door closed.
I'm sure everyone's not going to think it's as funny as I thought it was, but it just reminds me of a Sesame Street song, right? Show me how to close the door. Show me how. The door is closed. The door is open. Anyway, it just struck me as being funny.
Today's episode is brought to you by the letter door. Open. Look at this.
And here's what you got to say. And you haven't said it for a long time. I don't think you've said it in many of our episodes. You got to go, exactly.
Exactly.
So what would you say? I'm sorry.
Or as Rob Lowe says, literally in Parks and Recreation. But you know how people, they write stuff and they run away. They have to run away and then they trip and fall. This guy loses his phaser. And Oh, and then
so, sorry, it looks like I went around a whole lot of stuff you got here. You got a whole lot of...
yeah, you skipped a whole bunch. Can we go review some stuff?
Of course we can. We can, of course. It's your show, man.